Good afternoon and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
Go, Joe. G'day from Australia. G'day, welcome to the stream. I'll let Joe do your introduction.
Sorry, I didn't get a countdown. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Starbase friends around the world. Welcome to RGV Aerial Starbase Weekly, episode 154. These pictures were taken with that awesome new camera. Thank you all for the donations to make that happen with that awesome new camera lens. These were taken about 24 hours ago. And so enjoy the show. I'll pass it on over to your host, Stephanie.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's actually very early in the morning for me. Welcome to another live stream. We've got the weather gods were in our favour again this week, and we've got some good imagery this week. As you can see, there was some clouds about, but we managed to get some photos throughout. Now, we're working on our audio levels. It's all good. We have a new stream producer this week, so there'll be a couple little bugs to iron out, so just bear with us. And I'm going to introduce our other commentators. We've got Alex. G'day, Alex.
G'day, Steph. We should have another great shows this week. There's, like usual, a bunch of new things, and yeah, the new lens has really helped spotting a lot of the finer detail. And with that, off to Dart.
Hello, good morning, everybody, and thanks for watching. And yes, the RGV team pulled off a miracle this week with the flyover, and that new lens is definitely, we're all thankful for it.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go and start over at Massey's. Okay, so I'm going to start with the new cryo station, booster cryo ring. And just to reiterate what was just spoken about, the new lens, and our gratitude to the people that donated to this lens. We can shout out one in particular, Event Dude, who was amazing, recommending the lens as well, which the choice was perfect, and he was also a major contributor to the donation fund, so thank you there, dude. So we can see You can see a lot of these are getting put in place. Now we've also worked out the center line for the ridge through here. So we've worked out these are going to be where the clamps are going. Imagine this is going to be like the clamps over here in the test cage, these same clamp arms, I should say, rather than just the clamps. So the arms will attach to the bottom, similar to what we see in the cryo stand here. So there'll be a vertical, and then the little L piece at the top where the clamp will sit on top. So in between the clamps will be where the engines go. So the line of engines. So the line for the ridge cap should be straight through here, missing those two engines, missing that engine, missing those two engines, missing those two engines, and right through to there, missing these two engines and missing these two engines as well. So there's no engines actually on the actual ridge cap. And they've rotated this ring here by 18 degrees, which is actually a half an engine position if you think the 10 engines over 360 degrees. So they've halved the 36 degrees and rotated them 18 degrees.
Yeah, there's actually another photo that shows that center more clearly.
One second. This gives the line through the center, so thank you. Yeah, straight through there. Thanks, Dart.
Yep.
Thank you. Not saying who said they were going to move the engines.
Yeah, I think it's been spoken about quite a few times that engines are going to move. I'm not sure we knew exactly a while ago, but
we did, but nobody believed me.
Well, there you go. Everyone can eat crow then, can't they? Don't worry, there's been a lot of crow being eaten over the last few weeks.
I have so much to share. When so much more.
We're in overabundance of it.
So go ahead, Dart.
I was just saying, we've been in overabundance of our bounty of crow recently.
Yeah, absolutely. We've all had a very much a share of it. That's all good. So I don't think there's much more to talk about on that stand. So for anyone who hasn't been tuning in recently, the old cryo stand had a superstructure on the outside here, and then there was on the superstructure the clamps were mounted up on top of the superstructure. So that's not happening with this stand at all. This is it. It's just going to have clamp arms coming up, and that's what the booster's going to sit on. These clamp arms are not on the superstructure as we saw previously. This will be obviously dedicated to, we're going to call them version 3 boosters from booster 18 onwards. And I think, the audio's better. I think, personally, I think version 1 would have been probably up to booster 8, and then maybe booster 9 through to 17, sort of version 2-ish. And now I think we're saying there's version 3 from 18 onwards. Just as a rough guess. So we go on to the actual cryo station. Let's get a better photo. 1 second. I might have to do that one. Okay. So the plumbing's continue. We saw this last week. There's plumbing coming in. On our production, we incorrectly marked that methane, but it's actually only going to be nitrogen. But what we were trying to point out was this is a methane QD, and that'll be the LOX QD. 1 second. Just have to bear with me this morning a little bit, everybody. That's a better shot. They put this little segment back in. I guess we saw that last week. I'm surprised we haven't seen more deconstruction on this stand here. I guess it's kind of low priority at the moment. The higher priority, I guess, is getting this all ready for the, I guess, sooner or later when Booster 18 rolls out, which could be some time off, I would imagine.
That's active speculation.
I'm full of it, don't you worry about that. Speculation, it is. Okay, let's go over to, let's have a quick look at this Gantry. This is one of the best photos we've had of the Gantry ever from anybody, anytime ever, especially with this new lens. And we can see that new, I'm not sure whether you saw this, Alex and show and tell, those new high pressure gas tanks, BJ's traced the line all the way up to here, and there's a new line here, which is something to do with whatever that new high pressure tanks are down in the tank farm at Massey's.
Probably purging the lines.
And it may only be, it also suggests that it may only be for when they're actually doing static fire testing rather than in flight as well. Which may have something to do with, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's rarefied air or no air up at the altitude that the ship's engines actually fire, so maybe they don't need this when there's no oxygen around.
Maintaining combustion at that altitude is challenging.
Or it's not so challenging down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good shot of the ship quick disconnect gantry, yeah. That's what we sort of call a gantry proper. Up here in show and tell and around the traps a bit, I hear people saying what's beside the launch, beside the flame trench is not a gantry, it's more like a plant room. But and this is definitely a gantry though, this one. But we'll still keep calling it a gantry. Still no shots down into the flame trench this week. They're keeping it nicely closed. Yeah, these tanks are... Oh, that one is still... Oh, they took this one away. Yeah, these tanks. Maybe the newer tanks, I think he traced it to this line down here all the way through. Okay, moving on to the test structure. Try this bright image. Before I go into there, over the last few weeks I've been asked if this is a liquid nitrogen tank. We can see liquid nitrogen getting tapped off here, so pretty good chance that's some kind of buffer tank or storage tank for liquid nitrogen. Now these stands have been moved over here. Just before we go into there, you might recall in the past, over the month, there was a curved piece of steel in these test structures here. And going on to this week, where is this? This is a ripper of a photo. This is one of the best photos I've ever seen of Massey's ever. We can see those bits of curved steel in here. And they were starting to see something I've been questioning the whole time, is how these clamp arms, because they're only, looking back here, they're only connected by this single point down at the bottom, so there's nothing really holding them from moving all over the place. So this week we get a bit more of a clue as to why these triangle pieces are here and how they're going to stabilise these, at least to left to right, and also forward and backwards here with these turnbuckles. So that was a good thing to spot. There's so many things in this image. The clamps, we can see the new clamps all in here. Now you might notice some of these don't have triangles, and I suggest that given these are stabilised, that one doesn't need to be stabilised. Once the booster's on there, that clamp's not going to move anywhere if these are all stabilised. There's a few missing those triangles in the circle.
I think it's because they haven't filled in the ring in certain locations.
So
because
that
they're
we make
using
sure
that
net.
to they're using that linkage to stabilize the load point of the booster.
Yeah, here, that you mean there.
Yeah, that ball is getting stabilized by that linkage.
I can see, yeah, I think over here somewhere you can see a bit better shot. Oh no, that might have been it.
There's another shot that there's a handful of spectacular shots like this.
This clarity is amazing.
The
Like
upper, even the just to the left, yeah, that one.
Okay, it hooks straight on there. And that's where they were testing, weren't they? That's where they had a bolt hole, wasn't there, when we saw them being tested, when these things were being tested.
And is that a rigid connection, or is where it's connected to the back wall, can it pivot?
I would suggest that's quite rigid, that whole thing. You wouldn't want that moving around much.
You
This is
would you would, because to keep from centering, having to remill the hold down plates, if you have everything float a little bit, you can have it auto align a bit.
a little bit of tolerance, sure. The world needs a lot of tolerance. So you can see them all the way around, mostly all the way around. Now, another interesting thing we found, I think it's better in this other close-up. We can see, oh, is it in this photo? That might be one of the other ones. Some rams horizontal down in here to push the, I guess they're adding thrust vectoring loading to the sensor engines. Just bear with me here, I'll try and find them. Maybe this photo. There's one there. There's others. Oh, there's a guy. Oh, human for scale. It
And to
looks like,
the bottom left, the actuator, yeah, right by the red strap, you can see its pivot point, or the linkage for a possible cylinder. On the one right, your right, and down, yeah, that one, and just slightly to your left, the other side. You can see the little, yeah, right where your hand is where one of the actuators would connect to that.
okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, one of these actuators.
Uh-huh.
So that's even more hydraulic rams for this cage. Now, they're load cells. I'd say they're load cells, and I guess this is all innate of resisting the twisting force that the can crusher cap with these new rams here up on the top that can twist the top around. Actually, while we're here, we can see that they've got the hydraulic lines plumbed to most of them already, so they're going to be used on this test as well. We haven't seen them used yet. You can see them all there with their hydraulic lines. I guess those load cells down in the bottom of that would be to measure that actual twisting force as well. Hey, you might remember the test tank 17's got the tubes going up at an angle. I'll go to that in a second. So we've got the 10 rams around the sides here. We've also, it looks like they're going to be using the 5 rams up here. This thing is going to get tortured to within an inch of its life, I'll bet.
Is that the lower mystery, the costings cylinder?
Yeah, that's the horizontal hole in test tank 17, we believe, which is pushing something in a different direction. That's all I've got to say about that. Okay, I'll quickly go over to that actual test tank. It's in here. Just give me a sec. Don't look at that. Don't look at that either. There it is. I knew I'd get it sooner or later. What we can see, I think there's other close-ups, but I haven't got permission to use, really. We can see that there's little plates. There's I'll just move the ship a little bit out of the way. There's rods going up into those tubes, and there's little plates on the rods, and there's also hoses hanging out. Just trying to think if there's a photo of this on Twitter somewhere. And
Check Starship Gazers. He was out there last night when it rolled.
check out this for organisation. Good stuff. What a good bit of video. So yeah, be
Yeah,
sure
there's
to
the
go.
lower hole.
Yeah, the lower. Yep. This one. Yeah. So yeah, this is actually perfect. Thanks. This is where those twin rams that Massey's slot into. We expected something like this all the way along. That'd be some kind of adapter to. So and being twin rams, that's going to put a lot of force on there.
And they'll be able to twist it.
Twist by putting up differential
asymmetric
force.
Yes.
Yeah, be sure to go and check out Starship Gazer. Ryan does such a good job. And also, we've also noticed that the Can Crusher cap adapter ring, we've seen it at Massey's before months and months ago, and we noticed it missing, and now it's reappeared on top of Test Tank 17. So thanks heaps there, Ryan, from Starship Gazer. Really appreciate your work. You're one of the heavy lifters as far as Starbase Texas imagery goes. We can probably come back to that later at the... Oh, is this now? Oh, that's right now. Oh, cool. There you go. Ship 35 is rolling right now. That's a bit of a late breaking news there. Awesome. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to Masters.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons when you had mentioned earlier that they weren't taking down the old booster cryo stand is because of 35 and 17 rolling out. They wanted to get that stuff done.
Yeah, that's been a much higher priority on those two articles for sure. Okay, let me just look around Massey's. I remember everything is over here. There's something new over here. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure whether it means anything or not, but there's some plates here that have turned up. We think they're up these ones are up the old Can Crusher rig, we think. Maybe they are too.
Those plates are the feet for the the pipe boys.
Okay. Can we see them at Massey's now anywhere else?
We can see them all over the build site and the launch site.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
There's this large end at Highway 4, the storage lot.
So the new big tanks haven't been installed at all yet, and I haven't actually seen any plumbing. Gee, people ask, are these tanks bigger than the old tanks? This image, it makes these look like 4 times bigger than these combined. Okay, let's go. What time are we? Let's go to questions and donations, please, Joe, quickly.
Sure thing. So we did have a little bit of a hiccup, glitch with some super chats and some gifting problems, but it all seems to be resolved. The Rocket Prophet tested that theory by gifting 11 memberships. Thank you very much for that. Our very own new producer Matt gifting 5. Thank you very much for that. Phil gifting 5 memberships. Darth, Mr. Darth Lawrence gifting a membership. Sharpie gifting 1, and Jake Winlow gifting another. Thank you all for that. And while we were sorting out the super chats, Phil pointed out that that was an issue with iOS with a £9.99 super chat who says, "Can't wait for this week's show. Love this place." Thank you very much for that. Got to thank Eloy Martinez for becoming a member, as well as Sharpie renewing his membership. And then a question from Mokita. Why does the new cryo stand only have 3 inner mounts? I thought the new ones had 5 middle engines.
They haven't expanded the center 3 to 5 from all the evidence for this version yet.
That's a simple enough question or answer to that question.
Glad you thought so.
Yeah, Leo is asking, Ship 35 is on the way to Massey's right now. How many of those long duration fires do you think the flame trench can withstand before needing repairs?
Judging by McGregor, quite a while. It's sort of scaling the flow from a single engine up to 6 in this instance.
All right, that's all I got for Massey's.
Okay, let's go over to Rio West. Quick, let's go to this. Alex, you saw some interesting stuff here. Obviously, a big thing is they're expanding.
They filled in their mud pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, those black stands, the low ones. This shot doesn't show it, but they have their plate underneath has that shape that was on the pallet.
Gotcha.
I'll try and remember when we see him at Sanchez.
Cool. Yeah. So I just reiterate what Joe just said there. I appreciate everyone's patience today with a few bugs to iron out, but it's all good. I think everything's running well now. So the audio in chat sounds better now. Can you give me a bit of feedback there, please, chat? Okay, over to Rio West. What we have here is a lot of mud and a lot of water, and we're going to see a lot of water and a lot of mud everywhere. And they've even buried the foundations and everything. Audio is good. Thanks, Yazada. And Mark, thank you. Awesome. Good stuff. We dropped Matt in the deep end this week. It was like, you're doing extreme tomorrow, and off we go. So he's doing an extremely good job.
Right out of the frying pan into the fire.
Okay, okie dokie. So we can see the staircases are coming along. You can see they're going to share a little bridge there, and we're pretty sure these are viewing platforms, perhaps to watch launches or just to get up there and do some sun tanning like some people like to do. I don't know. We can't do that in Australia too much because the sun burns here. We've got lots of framework going up. You can sort of make out a bit of like a closet. There's sort of an entry staircase here to the outside and an entry staircase to the parking garage or the car park or the carport, we'd call it. Little entryway, little stairway up to upstairs, maybe a living area, maybe bedrooms upstairs, but it's all fairly trivial. I can see the outside houses are definitely going ahead. We call this production line sort of building. As an electrician, I've experienced this firsthand. As an electrician, you'll come along and do a bit of work on, say, you'll put in some foundation, some conduits and stuff in the slab before the slab comes along, and then later on, when the frame gets built, you come in and put some more conduits in and some more cables in, and then later on, as the houses get more and more built, you just keep walking. You just keep coming back to this house for a bit, then go back to that house, then come back to this house, and then finally do the fit-offs. That's a really quick way to build a lot of houses really quickly. Have the tradesmen just sort of do the steps as they go along. it's kind of good fun seeing a whole street do that. Now, you can see they're clearing more land over here. I think I've seen on some, and they're building that up quite high, which they did over here too, remember? I remember seeing some maps, and this whole area out here is set to be built out onto as part of Starbase Texas. I'm pretty sure this land is included in Starbase Texas. Okay, we've got some flooding down here, which is showing the groundwork and the drainage work has been, well, obviously they do well these days. Well, the newer laser and GPS technology on their machinery. You can see how it's got quite a low spot here, which is for the drainage here, and there's another one over there, obviously another drainage low area. We have some concrete and some driveways. Over here, where is it? I'll go back over here. We thought these apartments had parking bays underneath, but it appears that's not the case. This doesn't look like that's going to be that after all. It'll just be outdoor parking. Oh, wow. Go in the chat.
Sure as that curb it doesn't dip down from the edge?
I'll say it again.
Are you sure the curb isn't dipping down from the corners? It kind of looks like it's higher. Yeah, that they'll eventually pave that when they take down the scaffolding.
Okay, maybe. Okay. I'll eat crow again. I'm getting used to eating crow over the last few weeks.
We all.
Okay, let's get out of here. Oh, hang on, we'll go over here. Quickly, there's a new accommodation block. So Ad Astra's just over there. Oh, just a bit over there. Can't quite see it. No, is that right? Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Ad Astra's just there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was mixed up with that other site. We haven't seen that other site for a while. There's a third site around here somewhere we haven't seen for a couple of weeks. Going crazy with the geotext again, geomatting. And what did we say? Oh, the boss's house over here, of course, out of the way. Maybe. I think that's a joke. Got some electrical sort of stuff going on. I guess this high voltage has to be stepped down somewhere. Looks like there's an underground, perhaps. Maybe there's an underground down here. Maybe there. I'm not sure. Is that a tree branch or is that the...
That's a tree branch.
Okay, so...
They'll usually run it down the leg.
Yeah. Unless they put a transformer up on the pole. Do you put transformers on the poles in America?
We do, but those distribution... I don't know if they have a lower voltage on those poles.
Yep.
If they need to step it down, or if the distribution can step it down from this voltage.
Cool. All right. So let's... Do you want to address those donations, Joe, quickly before I go to the Sanchez?
Sure, might as well. We got ourselves a train on the move. We got this guy, our very own Todd Bernal, $10 super chat. Someone say train. Choo-choo, let's go. Turtle Sanctuary says with a $10 super chat, window seat, please. Sharpie says with a $10 super chat, choo-choo. Rocket Prophet with a 10 says sleeper cabin for me. Yazada with a 10. Okay, I'm in. Thanks all for that support. You rock.
Don't tempt me with a sleeper car. Someone didn't get any sleep last night. Okie dokie. So there's obviously something massively missing from the launch from Sanchez here. Because we had a roll. I don't think we've seen the roll, have we, since last week? Let me just... I know Sean's got pictures of that. Yeah. Oh, this is at the launch site where they kind of got stuck, didn't they? Thought it was kind of clever. They could just pick the wheels up and then drive it out. It was pretty clever machinery, these things. They're old. Oh, is that the same sign that was on the tower that stuck me? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So be sure to give Sean Geisler a follow over there on X. I guess it's kind of a bit of a plug for Marcus House as well. Be sure to check out his videos as well. So Sean does a lot of the photographic work for Marcus, and Sean's given us his own personal permission to use any of his images or any of his videos on any of our RGB productions as well. So good on you, Sean. You're a real team space player there. Now, these are amazing machines. I always love watching these machines working. They're so capable. And I think we're witnessing the biggest, heaviest transport at Starbase so far, I think you'll find. And probably by a significant amount too. There's that platform. I'll keep an eye on that platform a bit later on as we go through the show. So that was the big news of Sanchez for the week. They actually moved the launch mount. And in their place, they presented us with another mystery. Now, we've seen these before. Oh, Sean's probably got a photo of them too, hasn't he? Let me just have a quick look down here. Just excuse me for a minute. I probably should have this prepared. Maybe he doesn't. Does Gazer have a photo of them?
Yeah.
Perhaps? All right, I'll go to Gazer.
Yeah, it's who's ever hasn't been filming as much.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe you didn't publish them. You must not have published them.
One sec. Oh, never mind. Anyway, you'll see them around the traps. Oh, I thought he had one too. Never mind. Sorry, I'm not that prepared this morning. I apologise for that. Anyhow, we think... Actually, Chrome Kiwi's got an image job them too.
Yeah. Kiwi's render, I think, is quite apt.
Kiwi's really clever with this sort of stuff. It's in. I have to download it. He hasn't published that either. Oh, I'm not having much luck with media, so you'll have to just bear with me here this morning. Let's just leave that for a minute. Oh, here we go. That's right. Caesar's got. Yeah, I can use his. Sorry, thank you. Ring Wraith, thank you so much. That's what we're looking at. Thanks, peeps. So many speculations as to what these are. I mean, the strongest speculation so far is because there's two of them, it's pretty likely to be booster quick disconnect related. But still, that's even that speculation. But I'm leaning that way myself fairly heavily. Make sure you give Caesar a follow too. He's on the ground there taking some awesome photographs as well. And shout out Banassa Spaceflight. So I run under the assumption if it's up on X, it's public enough that I can show them on this stream. So I'll just run with that.
Chrome
So
has
far,
a great
Go on.
render of the tip of these where it lines up pretty spot on with the shape of the QDs on the test tank.
Got that in Patreon Lounge?
I thought so.
Oh, there it is. Let me just bring that. Oh, have I even got it? I might even have it.
Yeah, Caesar and Patreon
Oh, I
Lounge
do
are
have it.
left.
So these are some ideas floating around. This may not be right. And Kiwi's the first one to say that his drawings are A, not to scale, and B, total speculation. So it could look like that, which is I'm leaning towards that way, but there's bits and pieces around that make this one look possible as well. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Or they're building it upside down, because that's the way it's oriented at Sanchez.
All right, thanks for bearing with me with that little media struggle there, everyone.
Yeah, because there's stuff they're setting up on stands. So
Yeah.
unless they're continuous a tradition of building these upside down and confusing everyone.
They do like to do that, don't they?
Indeed.
Okay, everything's running well with the stream. Cool. Yeah, so where this is the bottom and they pivot from here, or like what you saw with Kiwi's render, it's totally upside down the other way around, or so make that of what you will. The short answer to that is we don't know, but like I say, because there's two of them and the timing, it sort of points towards booster quick disconnect. We think they're going to tie in with these pieces here. More than likely they're going to tie in with these pieces, but once again we don't know that for sure. And I get comments saying, why do we talk about things we don't know about and speculate so much? Well, because that's sort of our jam, that's sort of the way we roll here. We like to discuss these things. We enjoy the speculation, and we enjoy seeing who actually ends up getting something right, and something just as much fun as when someone gets something wrong. That's just part of our community, and we thrive on it, to be honest. And I don't think it's any harm at all, to be honest. Later on, best we can probably go backwards and forwards. Later on, we'll talk about this piece of pipe at the launch site. It's no biggie. It's just one of the bits of pipe that's going to hook a few things together.
And that valve assembly right by your hand.
No, okay. Is that one? Oh, that's one of those redundant things, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. On the
So
methane.
a redundancy thing. You can see there's two possible paths for the fluids to flow through, and a valve on each. So if that valve happens to fail, this line over here will work. Would they use them one at a time and cycle them each time, or use them always together?
No, they'll usually use them together. It's a 3-1, because they also have the bypass that also has double actuators.
Cool, because part of my electrical work is running motors, like some motors in the bottom of sumps to pump liquids out, and there'd be two pumps down there, and every week we'd switch from we'd run pump A, and then the week after we'd run pump B, just as a way to keep both sort of running rather than running them both together. So I was sort of thinking they might do that.
Depending if they're using that for flow control, the smaller bypass will sometimes be the primary. And the two larger ones, they are the backups.
Cool. Okay, during the rollout of the launch mount on NASA spaceflight's cameras, we noticed some guys working here, installing the actuators for the slides. So this stand is coming along again. Still no sign of the stabilizer pins up here, and we're assuming they're not going to have them on this stand at all. That's another thing, best part is no part job, I think you find. The clamps are still waiting. Now we call them crowns. There's a couple of stands that were here, obviously moved into the factory. There's some parts for some more. Just moving right along. Some kind of ship. Jig or some kind of stand. Looks like there's definite positioning for the three vacuum raptors there, and I mean they're the positions of the center raptors as well. We'll see some more of these around the back of the factory later on. Is it were they the stands that are under here, aren't they? They're in these corners. Is that right?
Yeah, they're upside down. So
Yeah,
the flat pieces are supports for that ring.
yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Have to bear with me this morning. My memory's not as good as it should be. So there's more
Team
small
effort.
parts. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, there's more parts for that stand, and more parts for that stand. What do you think, Lawrence? Do you agree these are for booster quick disconnect?
Yeah, I definitely agree now that there's two of them. Earlier, I thought maybe the one was for the ship quick disconnect, but now seeing him like that, I'd agree they're gonna go on the gantry.
Cool. Okay, we'll have a quick look at. Oh, there's a test tank. Shiny things. That's it's funny. It's funny in our show and tells. We'll be looking around. There'll be something shiny. We'll be talking. We'll go over here. There's something shiny. That's kind of funny. Doesn't look like a lot happened this week on the ship quick disconnect. So there don't seem to be any hurry for that at all.
They're working on all the pipe that'll sit on it.
In here. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm looking for frame bits as well. I was always on the lookout for frame bits and pieces that'll create the, what do they call it, the wrist? Are they calling that bit, the bit that goes on the end?
Yeah. The claw.
Let's hope we
Formerly
see
known
another
as.
claw. You want to see another claw, don't you?
Indeed.
Gee, that came and went so quick. This tank 17, yeah, this is going to see all sorts of torture in that test rig over at Massey's.
Did we spot any potential for the presumed hydraulic lines that are emerged from several of the holes by the actuators?
Yeah, although it would, you mean on the test rig?
Yeah, on the it's not that important right now, but
So hang on a minute. These attached to the hydraulic rams on the cage. Why is there more hydraulic actuators inside as well?
inside the rigid headpiece that these are connected to the tank. Presumably, there's some actuators. It's been speculated, and it looks reasonable that there's actuators inside of that in addition to the externals.
So there's another 5 actuators. Wow, that's going to be like
Or,
over 100.
yeah, we're unsure how many are inside of it.
There's going to be like 100 rams on this thing all up by the time they put in there. That's going to be an awesome bit of control software, and not only the control software but the recording software as well to record all the load points, because just about every ram will have a load point, I would imagine.
Then a fun game if one's bored. Just to the right of it, there's a green anodized lifting ice. You can play a fun game of looking around Sanchez and the launch site. They're scattered all over the place.
Where's Wally type things?
Yeah.
Yeah, a trailer just showed up not too long ago with more of those and rigging to the launch site.
Cool. I'm just going to jump forward to the build site just for a second here and check out this machine. So we think this is to do with ship-to-ship docking. So this would be the physical hard docking points. There wouldn't be any cryo fluids going through these. And then what?
There would be for the docking, unless they're just fairings protecting the internal plumbing.
I figured all the plumbing would go through the QDs, and these are just the hard points for actual physically connecting the two ships.
For doing it through the QDs, you would need to have either switchgear switching propellant and oxidizer inside the tank, or in the manifold, which would be kind of insane because you'd have to have mixed gender ports.
Yeah, I saw the space engineer talking about that. There has to be some kind of, because of the gender of the ports. Yeah.
Or they're going to use those very large round as the transfer points, which would make more sense.
So maybe even like both. Just going on that render. I know those renders aren't always 100% accurate. Go on, keep going.
I would be highly questionable that they'd use the QDs for this transfer.
So I know these renders need to be taken with a grain of salt to a certain degree. I mean, even this one, if that's the HLS, it wouldn't be being refueled by a tiled ship. It'd be refueled by a tanker to start with. There seems to be a QD connection and plus the 4 different connections. So I guess that's where the talk I'm hearing, what I was saying, I guess, is coming from.
Where's I've never seen what people said was a QD connect, especially looking at the size of those ports coming out compared to the size of those little stanchions.
Yeah, they're tiny, aren't they? I thought maybe in there was something to do with QD. Anywho.
Yeah.
Minor detail for now, but anyway, that's good to see this getting developed, however they go about it. That this is actually getting developed so that they can start doing refueling of ships, whether it's for Mars or for the Moon. I mean, with everything the way it's going at the moment, we may get to Mars before the Moon yet. I don't know. There's a lot of talk around the traps of what's happening with the Moon, with the new budget and whatever. We won't go into that now. But anyway, what led to that is here's that article now scrapped. So it's obviously a pathfinder. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate your input on those things, by the way. Heaps.
No worries. Yeah, because like the universal docking ring, you'd probably do something similar. And the assumption is with using the QD is that they'd be pumping the propellant from the main tanks, or whether or not they have secondary storage inside the payload bay rather than extending the tanks.
Gotcha. One thing, though, I think this does show more than likely as a real thing is a new ship QD plate, which we probably still be one great big plate, just with sort of 2 sub plates. We may even be able to see the 4-corner locator locking in pins. So that may be the new, maybe, I mean, it looks like it is, but that's likely to be the new ship quick disconnect plate pattern. Let's see. Oh, she's still there. Ship 26 lives on. Booster 17 and booster 12 haven't moved. They tell me that... Oh, that's right. I was going to say, they tell me the static fire stands move. We covered that already. It's not only moved, it's on its way to Massey's almost. This stand here also has those... I was talking about earlier at Massey's. Hey, they can push these engine mounts around a bit laterally. I'm pretty sure this stand has that ability too, to add side loads or thrust vectoring loads onto the engine mounts as well. That stand's not going to get changed for a while till I change the ship, which will be some time. It's quickly going back to the old booster cryo stand. It's getting disassembled, and this is a superstructure I was talking about earlier where the clamps mount on. There'll be none of that. It's just going to have the clamp arms down in here, which will look a lot more elegant. This thing's a beast. Funny thing about test tank 17 is for a long time we saw this square stand here. We didn't know what it was for ages. We thought it was something to do with the Pez dispenser. It turns out it's a booster aft section transport stand, which test tank 17 is currently standing on. This stand down here. It's a square stand with only 4 clamps. Oh, so it's a rectangle. Can't be square, can it? It's a rectangle with only 4 clamps on it, and that's what that ended up being. That's got 2 SPMTs on it. I thought someone said it only had 1 under it.
No, they needed the 2 for weight distribution.
Or for stability as well, I would imagine.
Doesn't seem to have a lot of counterweights for that.
No, it's pretty light and not all that tall. Okay, what have we missed out at Sanchez? Let me see. I think we pretty well covered it. There was that. Funny enough, talking about a new chip quick disconnect. Oh, it's not in that photo. There's an old face hugger over here. This photo might have it. I don't know why my computer's doing that, opening images like that. I guess that's, yeah, it looks like an older style. Unless that is a newer style. Yeah, it looks like the old one. They're continuing widening the road here at Remedios. It looks like this is going to be a path for vehicles in the near future. They're widening the road here and here, putting all drainage in and a little bit of electrical and some water lines as well.
Yeah, that blue is confirmation they're going to be pumping in drinking water at some point.
So they won't need these tankers here as much anymore, or at all anymore.
Right, and we've seen in documentation they're calling it a utilities project.
Accurate.
Okay.
They're pulling networking cable as well.
Yeah, fiber and stuff.
To go where exactly? Maybe
All the way back to Brownsville.
To the Starlink building?
No, all the way back to Brownsville. They probably want a fixed redundant path.
Okay. So that utilities work seems to include, like I said, all drainage and so on. That should come down here, and like what we see over behind the Star Factory at the end of St. Martin's Boulevard, there should be something similar in here or over here somewhere. It looks like with this new drainage culvert under here. Oh, there's a slope to that. I didn't notice that before. And this one here looks like they're going to combine them, so they'll probably tear this up. And we can see signs that already with this unit here has been removed for the pressurization unit, which all these stands have that the lines plug into. Oh, that one anyway, at least that plugs into. Anyway, that's all gone. So we'll have questions and donations from Sanchez now, please, Joe.
Sure, I am light on questions, but heavy on the donations. So I want to thank Daniel Hogman for gifting 5 memberships, Jim Cavett just stopping in for a drive-by and gifting a membership, Methane Man just dropping 20 gifted memberships, and not a single one of them were Vicks.
Again?
And Curtis Reese with a $10 super sticker. And a late-breaking question that just came in from Kal-El. Are they going to be destroying the parking lot?
Okay, let's just go over to the build site then. That's a good segue, thank you there. We'll go over to the build site and we'll start on that discussion first. Personally, I think not. There was an indicator of a GPS point over here that was probably just a little bit erroneous and should have been right here. It's not a lot of error. Look, it could be. I can't say definitely not, but personally, I don't think so.
Could have also been a datum shift.
And the other big question I haven't heard anyone ask yet is, will it go all the way to the factory, actually abut the factory?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that credence? Yeah, way too early in the morning. Yeah, it is way too early in the morning for me. That's fine. Look, I love doing these shows. I love getting up and doing these shows. I feel very blessed that I get to do these shows, and I thank you all so much for your support and continuing to put up with listening to me ramble on for rockets for 2 hours. I really enjoy what I'm doing. So, thank you all. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, to elaborate on that, I think with the way they moved the parking entrance to the back of the garage, I think they are planning on keeping it for a while.
Yeah, I imagine once they finish this roadwork, they might close this entrance up and have the factory, the Gigabay, quite. I don't know whether they'll leave a laneway or put it right up against the garage.
I think if they have room to leave it, the air gap between the two structures.
At least, yeah, maybe not a whole road width, maybe just a little couple of meters, maybe.
Have a entrance on one and perhaps an exit on the other.
Okay, yeah, and yeah, I agree with it being up against the factory. I hear some people saying it might just go to, say, that line, for instance, which it may do. I can never say anyone's like wrong in their guesses, obviously, because anything could happen. To be honest, they could tear it down, but it seems unlikely. It could even come. I don't think it's going to come across this street. I'm pretty sure it'll stay like in line there through here. It sort of comes to, where's the photo around that way? Around through here, I can't quite see it. Last week we could see it. It looks like it'll include that door. There's a door here in the factory. If you take the line from the high bay, it hits the door. But if you take the line from back here, it clears the door. It actually lines up with that line there. The edge of that garage there lines up with that line over there. And the door's just that side of. I've probably got a photo here, but look hard enough.
Yeah, those are in line with the old survey lot lines for the most part, I believe.
Cool. All right. So high bay is still getting torn down. The front wedge is all but a bare skeleton now. So it's not far to go to be torn down completely. Once again, they've been ripping the glass out with the excavator. They've got the lines up. Looks like they're going to drop this on the ground like they did the other two sections. So we didn't get to see the high bay fall, but we did get to see the wedge fall, so that was pretty cool. People are saying they appreciate my rambling. Cool. Oh, that's awesome. Alrighty.
Real quick, related to all of that discussion, question just came in from Kai Nessel. Have we seen GPS markers in Boca like Gigabay document like we did for the Cape Gigabay docs?
We have, but like Stephanie was saying, there's where they're showing up in Google Maps, it's not quite making a lot of sense, and usually depending which survey they're using, those move over time. Or maybe that's a California thing.
Awesome, thank you. I must have missed that. Busy in the background. Thank you very much.
All good.
Takes a team, Joe. Takes a team. Takes a village some days, actually.
Ain't that the truth?
Only has a village idiot here, so we're well equipped.
We love you, Alex.
So just quickly going over the other two bays. Of course we got, let me get this right, 14, 15 and 16 in here, 17's over there. And in here we've got ship was 35, 36, 37, and 38's up to its common dome section has been stacked. Obviously 35's not in here anymore, but whatever. Now in here is interesting. We've got a shadow in here, the crane, and we've got all these bits. I'll get a better photo. One of these is a better photo. This one, I think. Yeah. All these bits and pieces here. We've noticed some of these over. I'll just go over here quickly. Sorry to jump around on you here. Down here, there's more of those bits and pieces in here. Lots of bits and pieces here, which may have something to do with upgrading this turntable on this side.
I think a lot of it is they're just retooling Mega Bay 1 for the next version of boosters. They're doing it now that we're pretty sure B-17 was the last Block 1/2 or version 1/2 booster constructed.
True. So the clamps they had on that other little stand that we can see over here. Yeah, so that's correct. So this side of the stand, this side of the Mega Bay, if you remember, is where they stack the aft section. So the bottom of this can take an aft section, whereas this side over here just takes barrels. So being the aft section side over here, they have to do all the different mounting mechanisms and probably the jig. There's probably quite a few things in there has to be changed for that turntable for the new version 3 boosters.
Probably all the tooling is getting replaced.
And I imagine in time, once these boosters get scrapped, these back 3 stands will also have to have some fairly, not major, but fairly, sort of major upgrades for the new boosters as well.
Just looking at the test tanks construction, it looks like a lot of their workflow has been updated.
Cool. I mean, that'll even go into the factory as well now. The booster 17's been finished. Everything in the factory now is more than likely all tooled up for version 3 too now.
All the debris on the other side of the factory was probably them clearing out the old fixtures.
True. I think we might have even thought of that in a show and tell. Yep, that'd be correct. Let's just jump around the back there quickly because that's a good point.
If not, that sounds like something BJ would have brought up in the weekly summary show.
Actually, I've been doing a bit of the build site stuff lately. I've been doing a bit of script writing, only a couple of them over the last few weeks. Kind of fun. Yeah, all this sort of debris here. There's some clamps, the new style clamps. See, these 3 of these, whether they're staged here or they should be at Sanchez getting those things built. Or I'm not sure why they're here.
Some stuff comes pre-assembled.
Were those
Go on.
I was just going to ask, were those the ones we saw over by the inventory tent previously?
Yeah, perhaps they are actually. Okay. So I think we've been seeing a lot of debris come out here, so it's more than likely booster version 3 stuff getting reworked. Quickly over here, they're continuing to work in this area, which we think is because they're going to move the bakery into here. But look at it. Can you explain this machine, Alex, for me?
It's a cyclonic dust collector they mill a lot of the tiles, I believe, after they're fired. So you have to run the mill sort of with negative pressure and pump out, or else the entire building would be filled with silica dust, which probably was very bad for your lungs.
Cool. So it's just a big fancy extract, and also because they need to not only extract the fan, but they can't blow that out into the atmosphere either, can they?
No, and there's going to be some energy recovery and make up air, and Looks like they're setting up racks for distribution hoses.
Cool. I haven't done much with this area here a couple of weeks ago. Oh, are they digging in there? Is that being dug up with the
Yeah.
vacuum machine? Oh,
Is this the third or fourth time this corner's been?
they just can't make up their minds, can they? We noticed them dig up here and install this little drain over the last couple of weeks, but it's just a minor thing. Let's see now. We can go on to the new apartment block, but just before I go there, what I was talking about at Sanchez before, this is what we should expect to see at the end of over behind the rocket garden, sort of this sort of system to take all the drainage water and this one here, I'm pretty sure this is like a settling pond, so it sort of overflows out of these drains to go out. And I think stormwater off these is going straight out though, but that's another sort of settling pond that's got a flood to get out there, so any sort of sediment gets stuck in there.
The other possibility is like between Gigabay 2 and the bakery where they did all of that drainage work. Yeah, right by the right in that area is another possibility.
Oh, just a simple exit. Yeah, I suppose because there's no maybe there's nothing to catch like that one. There's not really much to catch.
There's a massive vaults and stuff that they covered up. So
yeah, but it might just be mostly stormwater and not actually. See over here, I think the issue in this area is because of the amount of traffic and that in here. Maybe there's this possibility of something, maybe rubber or whatever. Do they need a settling pond for this area?
Yeah, road waste with oil and various fluids.
Oh, so moving right along. That's my favourite Kermit the Frog quote. They've got some more drilling going on with the drill. I was almost going to say that's the drill, but that's the drill. CFA drill, which was packed up last week, but obviously it's unpacked again. Not unpacked, its hoses were all packed up. It seemed to be sitting idle last week over here, and I thought because its hoses were there that it was sort of sitting idle for a week, but maybe not.
I think when they took the second drill, a lot of their equipment was commingled.
Okay, cool, that makes sense. So I've got some of the footings have been poured. This is not footings yet, they're building up the footings here. This footing along here's been poured. There's a footpath, there's a footing in here as well. They were pouring that last week. They've only got to there. They were using a bucket. They weren't using a pump here. They were using a hopper.
They do that from time to time.
Yeah. So a quick look over the
technically,
village.
Those aren't foundations or grade beams, if you really want to be pedantic.
Yeah, okay. We'll call them that.
The foundation's the actual pile.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, fair enough. Footings, foundations, piles. What do you call it? All the above. Grade beam.
Grade beams. Technically, a foundation is being supported, and grade beams are not supported. They're supported by the pile structure.
Cool. What's Sharpie saying? My hope is that a parking garage park the R1 on top. Okay.
Talking about the views being blocked for Rover 1 and trying to figure out a new location.
Oh, I see. Thought he was talking about an R1 motorbike there for a second. Which should be a Yamaha R1000. Okay, not much going on in that building. That one's getting kind of finished. We have shingles soon. Shingles,
membranes.
Whatever you Americans do with your funny silly roofs. I keep saying in Australia we only have corrugated iron or terracotta tiles, but you guys have these other roofing systems, which is fine. No judgment.
Depends on the climate. In fire regions, they have tile.
I have done a little bit of clearing in here, but deliberately not showing the swimming pool anymore. So there's they've been doing a little bit of clearing in here, no more back here, but was a set of trees in there they've removed. So we may see a building here yet.
They did some landscaping between going to the pool. That strip.
Along here.
Yeah, it's that whole rectangle. They did some park reclamation.
Oh, they have too. Yep, they put some kind of topsoil down.
So
Looks like they're going to leave a path through there.
yeah, well, that's probably a parking lot they're clearing.
Oh, okay.
Being
Cool.
that the rec center was moved to Rio West.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did. I did hear that. Yeah. Oh, mud. Far out. So they
Dug up everything.
so they're redoing this whole. Let me get it right. LBJ.
Yes.
Yes. Looks like they're redoing all the storm drains in that area.
Potentially sewer interceptors.
Yep.
And potentially a gate. I was thinking here, but people are saying you probably wouldn't want to gate the medical center, so maybe there's going to be a gate back here somewhere.
Why are they speculating they'll be closed off? Just out of curiosity.
I'm speculating there's a gate because there's a gate here, here, and here, so there should be a gate over here as well. Otherwise, there's no real use having those gates.
It'd be interesting to see how they handle former public roadways.
Yeah,
Or-
absolutely. So the Boca Chica Village is now officially Starbase, Texas, and boy, there's been some funny postcode suggestions going around, but I think Dave Avery put his little bit of wisdom of reasoning in there and saying no, it's going to be one of 2 or 3 numbers within a range of a few numbers. I mean,
that's if they put a satellite post office here or not.
okay, yeah. Okay,
They
we
might-
can go to questions for building site and donations. Sorry, Alex.
No worries.
How's chat going, Joe?
Very well, thank you. Just very quiet. Besides JS Web Music gifting a membership, wanted to thank for that. And hey, everybody, just take a second and toss the stream a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you all for your generosity today. That's awesome. Helps keeps plane in the fuel, keeps fuel in the plane, and oxygen in their lungs. So that's awesome. Always awesome to see. Okay, and here we are finally at the launch site. Oh, we're about bang on time, aren't we? Cool. Okay, let's start with this. So, looks like bolts, but looks like they're way overbuilt. So, whether electrical bolts, it's got all the indicators, electrical bolts, having these conduits sitting just here somewhere, perhaps go into them, and we know there's another electrical line coming from around here. So it kind of looks like that, but then it's really overbuilt, so I'm not quite sure yet.
It's quite deep. Could be transformer pads as well.
So close to the rocket, that's not an issue.
Well, it's farther than you'd think.
Okay.
I mean, it's deep enough that they could make a proper underground vault there as well.
Yep.
Because, I mean, that's a pretty substantial excavation they put in.
Actually, some of these other angles show it. Yeah, it's quite deep. You can see in here where they've stepped down. and we saw them digging that on some of the ground shots. It's quite the boom was quite a long way down to dig down in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's more formwork by that excavator as well. Yeah, right there.
To build up walls.
Yeah, and there's this support just next the other side. That's hard to see. No, by the formwork, they're up, up, and just right there. Yeah.
Gotcha. You can use your left and right if you want, Alex. Well, people have worked out I don't know my left and my rights.
You do.
Yeah.
It's
My auntie
precision's better than accuracy.
mount, which is an awesome image of it here. And there's an access hole here we've found. Is it that one? That's it there, isn't it?
Yeah. There might be more than one, but
Which will allow a crew to get up in here in this area for when they do the rest of the work, as well as to unhitch the cranes. And we can see scaffolding here to access that. Well, Alexane taught me that this morning. This is probably scaffolding to access that access hole. It's offset. It looks not.
I mean, it probably has to do with how they framed up that scaffolding truss.
Okay, let's go to the crane. Let's talk about the lift. Talk about this crane lift. Hang on, that's not the photo I want. There's a good one here. Hang on, that one. So we'll start just here. A question I've seen is where they're going to put more steel mats down for the SPMTs, and it does look like that's happening here. We can see SpaceX crane has its counterweight tray and stinger on and all loaded up. The Buckner crane, it's where its counterweight tray is going to go. It's still over. Well, in this flyover. Sorry.
Yeah, our Cody G actually spotted the tray moving not too long ago.
Oh, go Cody G. He's they're another really good source of information in the team space community. They often answer questions for me, and quite willingly. So getting back to the lift, we can see the riggings there. The lift has been quite the subject of discussion of late, and we've been lucky to have been shared the actual lift diagrams, lift plans. We got to thank Halalo, how we say his name, in some of the servers. He seems to have good contact with the crane operators, which is not top secret stuff, so there's no ITAR info here. So a couple of things to note is where the counterweight trays are, which we just saw exactly. I'll flick backwards and forwards a bit here. You can see exactly where those two counterweight trays are. So that's very accurate. We can see in amongst all here, we can see a set of crane mats over here, then a gap, and then a center set of crane maps, then a gap, and another set of crane maps here, mats, which we can see on the map here. That was funny. One set here and a middle set and the fast set. A few Easter eggs actually in this diagram too. We can see how they're actually hooking up to the clamp arms, which we finally worked out. That's what's going on. We can see this little platform, which we've noticed on ground photos. We've noticed these struts. We have a good image of it. I'll come back to that in a minute. We have a good image of that on this flyover as well.
As well as the block and the clamp arms or their attachment points.
Oh, in here?
Yeah. The really tight OLM shot you were on earlier shows it pretty well.
Yeah, you can actually see the black lifting point installed already.
True, that's right.
Yeah, BJ saw him last week at when it was still at Sanchez. They had just started installing them.
I think there's a better one on slight angle. Yeah, thank you. It's on this angle here, I think you can see them better. Yeah, there they are there. And there, so there's a big pin going through that hole. The hole down there, there's a big pin going through.
I think it's in the main machined hole. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is there. It shows very well there. There's a pin through there, and that's the very, very beefy attachment point, as you would expect. I forgot to mention that, thank you. Just coming back to this diagram quickly, we can see that perhaps a feed-in T. We can see manifolds on 4 sides, except this little corner seems to be missing manifolds. We can see the SPMTs, obviously, and we can see that BQD point, that little platform. I don't know if it's going to have something to do with the final BQT or something to do with actually just installing them. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And the question is, they're staggered here in this diagram. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forwards a bit too quick there. You see them staggered here, and we'll see in this other diagram why they're staggered here. And look how close this crane's going to come to the tower here. That's the outside of the tower. So it's going to come.
Yeah, if you drew a straight line on the tracks, it misses the tower by a bit, since they're both on radiuses that intersect on the center of where the OLM is going to be mounted.
Yeah, and in this other diagram you pointed out to me, here you can see. Oh no, BJ pointed out to me. I think you can see now they're on that angle, because this one has to come in closer, so it doesn't have to reach quite as far, because the OLM doesn't end up in the middle of the cranes, obviously. This has been an awesome amount of information to do with the links back here. There's so much information in this little tiny diagram. Just while we're here, quickly, we've see the. You'll have to excuse me jumping around. Where is it? We can see the CFA drill here. I think maybe for a wall through here, blast wall, but also, I was just pointed out by Alex earlier, this area here is going to be concrete, and we can see in this diagram, it appears they've even got the piles marked for that area. So lots of little tiny Easter eggs in those diagrams. And I know how much you all love Easter eggs.
And for everybody who's wondering how high the ground's going to be around the tower, it's pretty much at its final grade, minus the concrete slab, but that's sort of the same thickness as all the crane mounts.
So pretty well grade level right there.
Yeah. And if
That makes a lot of sense.
and if you look at the side of the OLIT, about the first 8-foot section is covered completely.
That's that one down there.
Yeah, there you can't even see it.
Oh, it's actually down further.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's almost a basement. The bottom concrete floor down there is sort of like a basement now.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
like a double bay, because they have that sub bay. It's sort of I don't know what you'd call it. The lower level has all the electrical conduits, the cryogenic pipes, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. We saw that. Actually, while we were there, we talked about that here. We saw that culvert down there. We can see they're starting to trench the gas lines through for the ship, going up to the ship. That'll be all the high pressure, whatever they are, nitrogens and oxygens and methanes and what have you for the ship. And then the cryo fluids, we saw them plumbed all the way down to here.
Where the white high pressure trailers, those are electrical vaults.
In here, a bit further over.
Yeah, you
Gotcha.
can see in the shadow. There's that little slab where your hand is the culvert poking out.
Oh, that's the culvert. Gotcha. Yep. Sweet. That's an hour and a half. Cool. New mysteries now. Hang on, we'll go back to the trench because there's still so much to cover in the trench. I keep forgetting how much there's to cover in the trench. That's sort of mostly finished. This side, that's finished, isn't it? That's all the walls now on this side, isn't it?
Yep, except for the final cap detail.
Yep. And we can see it matches the gantry.
And whether or not they put a bridge across to get to that QD is going to be interesting.
The big question is the dance floor and whether they're going to need it on the new boosters. And I hear a lot of people saying they might not even need it because they don't change engines so much anymore with it, but it's mostly just to refurb the OLM and to hook up those LOX drains, isn't it?
But yeah, there's a lot of it. I would say there'll be a temporary, because the nice thing about the way they constructed this is you could kind of weld anywhere and use it as an embed.
Yeah, true, yeah. Bit
Yeah, I
like
mean,
go on, Lawrence.
I was just going to say, as we've already seen, they built a SCAF platform already inside the OLM, so they know what they can do already.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, in here, yeah, for sure. Okay, funny little detail we only just picked up on this morning is these being, I'll get a closer look, being filled with foam. This photo might be the go.
They just filled the top so that when they're pouring, people wouldn't fall in. So if you remember, on either side of those columns, they had plates on both the walls and coming off of there where they could have been joined up where it socketed into the wall, the columns. So probably after they level out these columns in the OLM, they'll come back and fill that with concrete and perhaps weld it in.
And weld the actual legs to the wall.
Possibly. But there's a pretty large gap. And there's no Nelson studs on the legs to tie it together, so they probably won't.
It's quite the sizable gap in there.
Yeah. Or the other more exotic is sprayers. They'll run some water pipes up it, but that's a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah, I was just thinking they could also just throw some plate in between the gaps to cap off the ends as well.
So there was that the paint was ground off in there. Remember, actually, probably see is that line I'm actually seeing there.
Yeah.
So there's potential that it will be welded. There's talk that it could be isolated, so you could isolate the vibration between the two, but whatever.
That's my original view on it.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Because you have a natural hinge point between where the walls are and the legs are supported partway down.
Yeah, I can see them well, and by the same token, I can actually see them actually welding that. These little caps here. Oh, sorry, go on.
Or just filling the gaps with flashing.
Okay, yeah.
But it doesn't look like they'll be able to weld the all the way around like they did the other one with the way they concreted everything up to the lip and beyond.
So weld or bolts?
Bolts.
Bolts. So
Yeah, you only have access to two sides, more or less, if you were going to weld it.
This photo might show it. there's the access holes. So there's access holes left in the legs to get inside there for bolting. That's the big. I hear a lot of people saying a big teller of whether it's going to be, somewhat removable. It's obviously not going to be removable. It's obviously not going to be easily removed. But I mean, if they had to remove it, some people are saying if that's welded, it's definitely not going to be removable. If they're bolts, it could be removable. But that whole argument, I don't know. We'll soon see in the future. I think we're all over it, to be honest.
I think it'll just be bolted. It's either grout or shim plates.
I think the argument's been correct that it's not like easily mobile. It's not mobile like the SLS mobile launching system. It's not like the static fire stand at Massey's. It's not going to be mobile like that. But if it had to be removed in time, that it could be. But this thing's going to be so rugged, the OLM, this new launch mount, sorry, that it won't need to be replaced for probably 50 launches at least.
If they change anything on the booster for any sort of major refurb, bringing a couple cranes, lifting it off, and swapping them is probably much more efficient than taking the pad down for 6 months.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure. Like, imagine trying to do that to pad 1 or pad A.
Well,
So there's a naming convention. Go on.
Anybody who's ever done any sort of remodeling knows what horrors it turns out, opening up walls and stuff.
I got a question for chat. Which do you prefer the naming, pad 1 and pad 2 or pad A and pad B still? Let me know what you think in chat. And while we're doing that, so these little end covers, they're not put on yet, but that's not going to stop them lifting the launch mount in because they can use a counterweight. They can use a counterweight, lifting device to come in here to put that in later. It looks like ABs have got the vote.
Pad Westy, the Tower of the Third is my vote.
Pad East and West. Well, looks like the overwhelming majority is A and B. Very good, thank you. Oh, that's kind of fun interacting with chat. All right, so what else in the launch site now? Just been heavily distracted for a second. Obviously, lots more work going on in here. There's some walls, I know where our photos show, but there's some wall sections. I think we have got a photo somewhere that show it, some wall sections. Maybe this one will show it. Over in, down in there, there's some wall sections that have been put in. Not sure, not this end yet. No.
It might be.
In that section there it is, isn't it, over there?
Yeah. You can see it, like you pointed out, it's peeking out on the other side. Possibly because they're using so much the other side for construction access. They're going to wait.
So the walls have still got these corner sections here to put in pretty well. That's about all now.
4 pieces on each side.
Oh, there's those tanks. Wow, they come close inside there, didn't they? Wow. There's like no room at all in through there. So we noticed over the flyovers to weld these back pieces are actually the welding crew are actually going down inside the wall to weld that back wall.
It's also how they got everything welded so quickly.
I guess we expect to see the same concrete down here. Probably would they just concrete solid over these trenches?
Yeah. They did that on OG.
Like here, this is concrete, isn't it? Straight over. There's no way to remove that.
And between the 2 vaults, it looks like they're going to finish it the same way.
Yeah, because of the profile of the concrete here. Yeah, it's like a It's like a beam to put concrete onto. We used to do it on concrete swimming pools. Leave a beam to put the concrete slab around the outside on. Okay, let's go over somewhere else. So that's about it for the flame trench, I think. I mean, we could probably talk for an hour on the flame trench, to be honest.
Don't get me started.
I got a bunch of flame trench questions if you want to address those.
Okay, we'll do that. Why not?
Speed run.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, bunches of them. So first I want to thank 55 Chevy guy Steve for gifting 5 memberships. But question from Crane Man. Are the future steel plates on the bottom of Pad B flame trench ramps the result of concrete waves in the Massey's trench for the ramp full duration static fire? Have any steel plates arrived yet at Pad B?
The plates haven't shown up, and I'm not sure if those ripples are actually from the static fire. Reviewing older photos.
There's some plates, but not sure they're related. These have shown up, but I don't think they're related. Oh, now that one is showing shape this week. That's weird. Anyway, so continue, Joe. Thank you.
All right. My lovely wife, Astrogen, wanted to send you a reminder, Steph. Use post-it notes on your monitor for left and right. Yeah.
I love it.
Anyway, from Drew Nar. Question: with the idea of the OLM still being interchangeable, would they really spend the months tearing the mount apart to get the weight out and down to lift it again?
They could bring in slightly larger lever cranes as well.
That's true. Like the LLR, what is it, 13,000?
Or 1350. Yeah, probably not the 13 because that's more than these two cranes.
Same as Kong, or
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. From Kai Nessel, would they need a supporting platform, possibly mobile, under the OLM for launch clamp swapping?
We'll know more as they're installing the clamps, but from how they were doing it at Sanchez, it looks like they have a simplified version of lowering him from the top.
Perfect. All right. Question from Henry Blackburn. How will all the commodities such as LOX, CH4, and water be transported to the launch site at a fast enough rate to keep up with the launch cadence that SpaceX is targeting? Sorry, not really flame trench related.
More than likely with the water looking like it's being installed to Brownsville, that'll cut back on all the deliveries. Then
Yeah, in fact,
go on.
Sorry, Alex, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, while we're on this picture, you can actually see where the water lines that they've been boring come up in the dirt there, right above the concrete head. Or
yeah, right there.
Thanks, Lawrence. And plus, they're going to put their separation unit. It was a question I posed in Show and Tell. There's obviously a limit to the cadence. I mean, there's a limit by law, but there's also obviously a limit on cadence as to how many trucks you can physically run up and down this highway. So once they have their air separation unit running, that'll get rid of the nitrogen and LOX tankers, and then you only have methane tankers, which is only a small part of the propellant load, obviously. So I think that sort of answers the question. How they're going to manage that is, well, they're going to produce a lot of the bulk of the LOX and nitrogen on site.
And they could do what they're doing at the Cape, where they're liquefying also methane.
True.
So, yeah, they would just have to put a natural gas pipeline in. There's a lot in the couple-mile radius of here.
Sweet. Thank you, Joe.
All right. Yeah, still a few more to go here. One more from Crane Man. Are they still going to close the gaps between the deluge ramp pipes and the flame trench walls? Are the spare pipes next to the trench for that purpose?
It's close to a meter, the gap on either side. So a single 8-inch, 210 millimeter pipe, I don't think on each side would make too big of an impact. They'll probably have steel similar to what they have at the ridge, and just extend that, sort of filling in that gutter on either side.
All right.
Thank you.
Question from Eric Frazier. Have we seen any pieces of the armor? I'm assuming we'll be covering the gantry.
No. Unless that's what those steel plates are down there.
Potentially, yeah, the lighter gray ones by those other plates.
All right. JS Web Music asking, will there be any part of this flame trench that is covered with a lid?
I guess they're asking like Massey's, how Massey's has those, you know what I mean?
I would. I like Crow. Yes.
Nice.
There's
Thank you. Oh, go on.
performance of the trench reasons why covering part of it, and especially since they're already limiting the amount of entrained air going around the OLM, having it rush on either side down into the trench might start getting some recirculation issues.
Coming back up out of the trench back into the...
Yes.
Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, because like at Massey's, I was always under the impression that the beam that's that or platform, whatever you might say at Massey's, is not only to bring the platform back, but it actually has a lot to do with the dynamics of or fluid dynamics of the actual plume exiting the actual trench.
And for bracing, the simple span of the walls would be kind of helpful, because currently the ridge beam and the top of the legs will provide some additional lateral support.
Cool. So that can only be... It wouldn't be, because the ramp's down there. It could only be in this sort of...
Which, from that edge of the leg to the flat area to the left of the legs is around 16 feet.
Okay.
Almost
That'd be
3
enough.
meters.
That'd be enough, would it? Just
Yeah, because if you extend the platform to the other side of the legs, you could easily have it slide shut on both sides, and then
okay,
potentially
yeah.
have a ramp from where the edge that you could cut the corner onto it. Now, from where the walls bottom out with the general trench height, yeah, just come in from that direction potentially. But
Gotcha.
they might just run this hard and see. My theory is this is sort of on the more ragged edge of what they need, so as little as possible. And Florida will be much more robust.
Best part is no part.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, I got... Excuse me, Star. Shush. Oh my God! Shut up, dog. Sorry, I got two more questions for y'all on the flame trench. From Kai Nessel, have we seen where they will route LOX and CH4 on the quick disconnect frame to the BQDs? Strange, no holes in the floors yet.
New, but there's clear indications where they're probably going to cut the floors out for last week's. None of the propellant lines have been worked on. They're just still stubbed out. Yeah, there's that section, and then in the center section as well. On lower, the second level. Yeah, right by the green ladder. That's all just the corrugated that'll probably get cut out for running the lines up.
Yep.
All right, from our very own Matt, driving in the background, turning the knobs and pushing the buttons. Question, is there any possibility the chopsticks could be used for lifting the OLM in the future? Nope.
We need some really big test articles.
That would be some really big test articles.
Jen.
And there you have it, folks. We can move on. I'm done with questions for the time being.
We're just done.
I'm going to giggle about that all week. Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Let's go to the vault. Here's quite a bit of work going on and around this area. I'm sure I'll get a better photo than that. Hang on. Try this one. Oh, that'll do for now. There's lots of different pipes going in and out. I guess Alex has a bit of an idea of some of them.
What the four are running is still a bit of a... They look like they're just high pressure gas. Why they're running a separate path. Yeah.
There's 4 coming out here and 4 coming out there and some more coming out here.
Correct.
Got the these ship gas lines coming out here. They're the booster ones, aren't they? Going out around there.
Yep.
These ones will just come off these racks here, I'd imagine. Like these ones going into the racks down here.
I think both of them will do that.
Yeah. And this is so we've got the main high pressure gases coming from the pump farm, and in here this is where they switch all these gases here are switched in here, much like we see at Massey's. It's like a big switch yard for gases, and maybe there'd be no fluids in there, would there? Just gases. I mean, gases are fluid.
Yeah.
If you want to get technical again on me.
Obviously.
Not much change in the water deluge farm. That seems to be put on hold for the launch mount installation. They have gathered all the pipes together here. We can still see the bits and pieces of pipes for all the different, like that's the dropper here for down in here. We can see they've added a manifold on here, and so finished. I think they finished all them last week, but they might have been missing these ends last week. But they've added a manifold here. We've got mystery manifolds here, which we're still trying to nut out, and we still haven't quite seen how they're going to get liquid to gas yet. Well, I haven't anyway.
Oh, there's 2 big foundations they're digging.
Yeah, spar bars. What do you call them? Mud spars.
Yes.
There's a ton of water around.
And they've been welding pipes like fiends all week.
Up in here?
All over here. A bunch of those manifolds have been worked on. The green pipes have been worked on. I won't bore people with all their details.
No, you're right.
But by the high pressure tank, below it, there's those black. Yeah, those are the top plates. Are those things we saw way back when?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Back at Massey's. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
They're those things we saw at Sanchez, isn't it? Next to the flame bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas on that?
I'm still thinking they'll eventually be welded to the flame print wall to support the angled sides.
Okay, we'll keep stepping slowly over that way. There's a pump here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. There's a pump in amongst here. Getting a bit dirty.
Yeah, they've moved since there's no room to the left. They've moved everything to that slab they were pouring last week.
Oh, they have 2. So is that new as well? Is it that high pressure tank?
No, that was there, but immediately too. Yeah, that's freshly paved from last week.
Gotcha. So we'll start with the LOX pumps because we're a nice close up of it. It's looking pretty good. Still missing pump 2 and what's that? 7, 8, and 9. It's got the pump and not the motor, and this hasn't even got its stumps yet by the look of it. Now there's still to hook up. Is this for this side? No, that's for one of them, I guess.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I counted them the other day. Oh, maybe I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4 we need. 1, 2, 3.
It's on the
there's-
other side or on the edge, I think.
It won't be far away. Is that it there?
No.
No. All right. And on the methane side, it's flying ahead. They've got heaps of the pumps and sumps in already. And all the sorry.
I think to the right by the sumps, I think that's the missing one.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, they got 8 here. Yep, that's an odd one. Yep.
And it has a larger end on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing how quickly the methane side came together compared to the work we're seeing on the lock side.
This modular system's amazing. It's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
So this has the input manifolds underneath there. It's got the exit manifolds, outlet manifolds, and split again between ship and booster as the locks, as we say over here in the locks, we've got 4 for the ship and 5 for the booster. And just while we're down in here with, we saw this last week, the manifolds down here have been put in place. I think we did see that last week.
It's not hooked up at all.
But yeah, it's still not hooked up through here. They're still open there, aren't they, those two?
And the in the liquid nitrogen isn't hooked up either.
Down under here.
Yeah, there's the 2 actuators, and it just dead ends by the person and the hive is.
There's so many levels of pipes here. I can just see the locks ones down here now. Cool. That's both of them there, isn't it? But that's both locks, isn't it?
Yep.
Supply side to the pump. So it goes down here, then back this way, then back up here, then through the basket filters and up through the pumps and then out, and then back around and off it goes. We'll just leave that spaghetti for now. All right. You've done really well to explain it over the last few weeks. Thank you. A bit of
No
plumbing
worries.
in here. We've got the exhaust for the nitrogen here, as we saw over in, I won't go back and forwards on you, but over in the old methane pump farm, we noticed they put valves on these exhaust on the methane side, and I understand that that's to control the pressure inside here, which in turn controls the temperature, basically, of the methane flowing through, so don't freeze it. And that could be in here, those valves, and then there's a buddy for that to come on this side, and there'll be the same thing for this exhaust down in here. So once again, is that triple redundancy or just for flow?
Redundancy and flow.
Okay.
And one of them, probably the vertical one, facing upwards, will probably be the emergency burst discs.
Okay, because you wouldn't want that to block off, would you?
Would be problematic.
So the methane side here is starting to get hooked up. I'm not sure if that was there last week or not. I must have back and forth.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so that's all new. Cool. So that's the 2. This one has the 2 circuits again. This one's it's 1 and 3, isn't it, on this one?
Yep.
Whereas the other ones over here are more like 2 and 2, aren't they?
Yeah.
That one anyway, particularly. And that's why the pipe's a bit smaller there. That made me think of that. Okay, we'll go over here. I can see they're continuing to hook up all these lines. I can see them turning the pipes out here like you thought they were going to do into here. Still haven't seen the main locks line come across yet. It's still here, isn't it?
It's all dead-ended.
But we do expect to see that come across here, obviously, don't we?
Yep. And one will drop down right to right there, and then the other one will drop down where the other two pipes are coming down. Now, yeah, right there.
Cool. And then they'll come. So where are these pipes going to go? Are they going to turn around and
They're
come
going to
this way?
go either along underneath at ground level.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have a methane valve, liquid vapor return methane valve, and then the lower pipe is a LOX valve. They're for two different vehicles too, just for added joy.
Yeah, I haven't quite worked that bit out quite yet.
No, actually, it's the large LOX line is for the booster. That's the methane for the booster. That's LOX for the booster. That is vapor return for the ship. That's methane to the ship. That's vapor return for the booster. And that's LOX for the ship.
Well done. Cool. And then this is where it's going to condense back to liquid, or at least separate.
It's a separation, phase separation. There should be one more tank potentially, but I'm not sure where it would go.
Cool. Now, the other big thing this week's to happen is they've got the main methane delivery line from the tanks is a happening thing. Let me go through these photos slowly as we go further over that way. Runs all the way along. It's not hooked up everywhere. Go next. This photo next. So it comes around the corner here. That we saw that just sitting there last week. Looks like they've been welding that together. It's still not hooked up in here, but they're getting there. And then off it goes all the way along to here. It reduces where they pick up that T fitting down there to T into here to bring the old methane system into the new pump farm, and then it continues on. This photo will do it. Continues along all the way along here and comes all the way to, there's a T off there and a T off here, and then it finishes. And the second line, I forgot, you did tell me what that was for.
Fill.
To fill the
for
tanks.
offload.
So uploading tankers into these tanks.
Or
all of the tanks.
all of it. Yeah.
So they're bringing the methane upload to this side, I think I heard you say there last week.
That's how it appears.
So does that mean, is that an issue with traffic? Like, isn't that like the big red circle? Is, I guess that they must just have enough room.
Especially if they park at a diagonal.
Oh, the big circle's not so big after all. Okay, that's plenty of room. It's like a no-go zone when they're uploading.
Yeah, one thing we saw in the EP or the PEA plans was it looks like they're going to have the trucks all at angles instead of just backing straight in. So they're not jamming the highway.
Oh,
yeah.
What? Oh, I think I missed something back at Sanchez, Jake. There, I'll go. It's all good. Sorry, I didn't see your message earlier. Bunch of valve assemblies sitting behind the QD arm. I think that's back at Sanchez. Oh, do you think that white ship in that renders? That's sorry, I'm just going to jump around again on you here. Oh, it's in this render. That might be depot.
Yeah.
And that might be tanker.
Yes.
So it looks like the lander render though, with that sort of bottom. It looks like the lander render. Is it here? Looks. Oh, I suppose it doesn't really, does it? No, it's different. Yeah, okay.
It might be sprayed down with foam.
Yep. Oh, I digress. Thanks, Jake. Okay, we got not much. I suppose they're doing stuff here. It doesn't look like they've done a lot of stuff, but they're slowly getting these tanks plumbed in.
There's a bunch of skids they've installed underneath.
Oh, they're hiding the work. I see.
They're protecting it.
Protecting it. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, that'll work.
Checking on the YouTube stream how that transition happens. Yeah, my computer's loading images weird this week. I'm not sure why. Little water everywhere. Oh, that's that puddle we saw earlier when they. Was that because this slab sunk under the weight of those old vertical tanks?
It probably was never level to begin with. It would
Man, doesn't this look like basic compared to the new pump farm? Wow. It's like it's got
still
nothing.
looks better than the old stuff at Massey's and Suborbital.
Yeah, for sure. It's I must say it's a lot easier to follow.
Right?
I was not confused about this, except for those valves. I was a little bit confused there, but I kind of got a handle on it now. Because this was very simple workflow, and then a return flow was pretty easy to work out. Okay, over here they seem to have finished whatever they were doing over here. And I guess this is part of all the new methane tanks. Some weird
Yes. That's there's there's 3 offload ports, I think, sir, that are plumbed together.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just doing that to pressure test as far as I know.
Yep. And those are the big P-trap looking things at the offload ports.
We can see them over here, can we? If we still see them in here?
We should be able. We used to before.
They're in here, aren't they?
Yeah, ground photos, which maybe at the very end where it's less congested. No, darn it.
That's all good. Okay, let's keep moving here over to this photo quickly. There's heaps of there's the counterweight tray for the Bucky crane. There's its weights for it. They unloaded this SPMT, those weights on the ground for some reason, then they've got to pick them up again, take them over there. There's the cages for that CFA drill. Now, an interesting thing here is, I thank BJ for pointing this out for me, a pump here and this water line here. Let's just go for a little adventure, shall we? Let's just start over here and let's go zoom, zoom, zoom. Ready for a little adventure? All the way around there, all the way around there. Oh, we'll come back around here, all the way around. Keeps going, all the way. Oh, I need another photo. Which photo? Oh, the suspense.
They only have 2 authorized offload locations to those mud flats.
The suspense, it's killing me. And it goes all the way to here for now, but I guess it's going to eventually go over into the...
No.
Oh, you said 2.
Yeah, that one is one offload. No, the one that your choose your own adventure is one outflow, and at the end of those settling ponds is the other outflow location. Yep, those are the only 2 legal places for them to jump.
Where's this? Is that the second one?
Nope, the second one is over by the retention pond.
Oh, gotcha. So that should continue all the way up to there.
No, to that white pipe that's coming out from the trench. Yeah.
Why to that? Sorry.
As soon as the PA pass, that has the 2 locations where they can dump water into those wetlands. So
is the water Is the water coming towards the tower or from the tower in this pipe?
To the tower.
From here to the tower.
Yeah.
Why is
They
and
probably
it's
won't
stuck-
use that once it's active. They're probably just.
Why is there a pump here? I imagine they're pumping this through that to pump water from here over there.
They do have a legal outflow from that pad.
There's a valve out here, isn't there? There's a drain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
But that hose, they'd have to be pumping it the other way. Because
Yeah, it
it's
can't suck
flat.
through. Yeah, it's got to be pumped from my end. Cool. All right. Okie dokie. Let's go. Oakley dokley. That's pretty well it. The scaffolding moved from here. There's not a lot to talk about. Pad A. Kind of up expecting booster 14 to arrive here soonish rather than laterish, maybe even through the week. That'd be nice to see. And
The old electrical vault up that leg, which they didn't make. The one to the right. Yeah. On the ground, that sort of figure eight is where they have the leads bolted down. And I believe that was a prefab vault.
I like what we're seeing over here, though.
Yeah, but it was one of the prefabs, I believe. That's why I'm dubious about this just being for a box for changing directions. Essential pull boxes.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that.
Indeed.
So it looks like, thank you, chat, for your poll there. Looks like we're calling this pad A and B then. I'll continue that convention for now, but I think in the future we're going to see it being called pad 1 and 2, but that's fine. It's all good. Okay, Jay, let's go through some final questions and donations, please. And while we're at it, we'll just look at a roundabout.
That sounds good to me because the question bot just broke and I'm having to do everything manually here now. So, sounds like a real good time. Phil with a question: has it been confirmed that B14-2 got its FTS fitted?
Possibly. I think someone's. Sorry, should be more competent on the answer here. I think there was. No, that was on. There was the explosion warnings on one of the buildings.
Yeah, we've seen the explosive placards on Mega Bay 1 this time around.
Thanks, Lawrence.
All right, cool. Got to thank Drunar for gifting a membership. I've got missing tools. A question for the tank farm. Please point out how much will be deleted or moved to make room for Pad A flame trench discharge.
The current fluid bunker, the old Lux, and they could ramp it there to get it over, depending how energetic the plume is.
Yeah, I'm also speculating that old comms power bunker might go away as well.
They can also flare it out and expand the plume wider than they're doing on Pad B.
That's going to be the next thing in the future to watch all this get rebuilt.
I mean, yeah, it's not going to be that deep, so they could almost move that blast berm back a little bit, and it'll probably would be fine.
Bring it back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once Pad B has been certified and they have a couple of launches under their belt, my speculation is we're going to see a lot of changes at this end for Pad A construction.
Yeah.
For sure.
Those
Thank you, Joe.
2 new methane tanks will probably move.
Oh, what? They just put them there, though. What? That's not like SpaceX.
I mean, they want to keep launching.
Thank you, Jay.
Indeed. All right. I'm not sure how this works, but question from Henry Blackburn. With Starbase now becoming a city, will SpaceX be able to get the rest of the land at the launch site?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think so. It's not
They're-
just that easy.
it's federal-owned land and deeded, not to be developed around it. To develop the rest of it, they'd have to still go to and get a Clean Water Act, and the problem is recreating this ecosystem is next to impossible. So donating like 10 times the amount they cover is challenging.
All right, a question from Kai Nessel. Is the concrete slab behind Tower 2 for the air separation plant? Should be starting that soon with the launch cadence increase next year.
Potentially,
Go on.
Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, it's almost like they left areas around it for roadway. So that could be their separation unit. It could be a construction area, assembly area, parking lot. I mean,
I also have a theory that slab right there is going to be used for staging, like the clamp arms and stuff.
What it's missing though is big, heavy footings. What do you want to call them, Alex? To put things. There's no big footings and no, conduits and all that sort of stuff.
most of the plants come basically palletized on shipping containers that bolt together. In a couple of weeks, you could have air separation unit up and running.
Without footings.
Well, some places will need footings, other places won't.
Okay, cool.
It's sort of like the pipe boys. There's areas that aren't heavy.
Okay,
And obviously there's areas where tanks are and compressors and heat exchangers.
All right. I want to thank Phil for a £199 super chat. Giving props to the new producer, says, well produced, Matt. We thank you for that. Phil also with a question, with Ship 35 rolling now, will they be able to fit check and static fire tonight?
Quite possibly.
How long does it take them? Yeah, maybe.
They sure are speeding things up down there at Massey's, that's for sure. It's possible, I guess.
I kind of expect it.
Well, they've got a day. I mean, they've got a few days up their sleeve. It's not so. Is it 21st, the first launch window? So they've got a bit of time.
Yeah, I also think they're rolling it today. My speculation is they're going to static fire tomorrow, and then they have that weird daytime closure from Massey's to the pad on Monday. So I have a feeling they're going to static fire tomorrow and then roll back on Monday if all goes well.
All right, I've got two last questions before we close out here. One from Keon. Is there a possibility for Pad A in the future, when it gets its fine trench, for it to be a single direction trench?
Not likely. It's a lot of volume to dissipate.
Simple enough explanation, and I'd agree. Joe the HC question: why do the catch arms look too short to center a booster on the OLM?
It's just an illusion.
It's an illusion, as Steph was saying.
There's plenty of room. When the booster gets, or the ship gets stacked it's going to be about there to stack on the OLM, and it'll probably land there. They've got a bit of room here to land. I guess there's a limitation how close they can come this way because of the bottom of the booster starting to get too close to the tower, I guess, when it does that.
The whole rail can essentially nearly be used.
Yeah, and I did a circle when they were open. If the booster was right here, there's actually room in here for the booster to go right here. There's actually room in here. There's actually room down in here for the circle of the booster to fit in here as well. I know it does look very short, but you might have noticed the last few landings they've been doing, they've been very close to within a metre, if not even more accurate than even less than that on the other chopsticks. They've been hitting, spot on. All right, that's the last question I can see. So I might, sorry, Joe.
No, you're good. Yeah, that is all I have. So thank you all for an awesome chat. We can go ahead and start our sign-offs.
All right, so I'll say thank you to Lawrence for joining us today.
Thank y'all for having me. Another great show and big things to come in the next couple of days.
And Alex, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for glad to be here, and yeah, this next 2 weeks should be pretty exciting.
And I want to give my own personal big shout out to Matt. You've done such a super job today under difficult conditions. I understand just an hour before the stream, the whole area had a power blackout, and he was a bit panicky, and that's why we delayed the stream just today, because his power came back on again. So well done for getting your act together and getting the stream running. You did such an awesome job. I'm so happy that you did that for us, and I'll say good day to you all, and once again, thanks for listening to me ramble on for a couple of hours about rockets, and I'll leave it up to Joe to sign off. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Always fun sharing the stream with you, Steph, Alex, and Darth. It's a pleasure as usual. Thanks, Mauricio, for getting these awesome pictures yesterday. And thanks again to all those wonderful, generous folk who donated towards that lens. We all benefit from it. Thank you very much. Matt, great job. Looking forward to working with you again in the future. You're gonna really help improve things around here. We appreciate it. Astro Jen, my lovely wife, thanks for making everything happen, bringing the talent together, and even recruiting Matt. So that's awesome. Everybody in the background supporting Matt, we thank you as well. Thank you all the awesome, generous gifters and donators today. It's been a fun chat. Most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you. Bye.